You know what? This bass right here, it's absolutely awful. I absolutely hate it. Fretless bass is just so horrible. Let's get into why that is. Now, my main issue with the fretless bass is just the fact that it does not play in tune when you want it to. And you've got to spend so much time focusing on your intonation. I just want to be able to hit a note and the note just be the note that it wants to be. I don't want to have to faff around with all this intonation nonsense, is what I would say if I actually did hate the fretless bass, because of course I'm a firm lover of the fretless bass. And in today's video I want to get all the misconceptions out of the way and all the things that people say they hate about fretless basses out of the way, so that people will have appreciation for the fretless bass, because ultimately I love this thing and I want to go through why I love it so much. Now, while I spoke about the intonation earlier, and it definitely can be a challenge, getting to learn your specific fretless bass is just sort of the way around it, really. And one of the main things that you can do to help this is, if you want to get into fretless stuff but you don't really want to deal with the intonation, get a lined fretless, and just then you can play on the lines and you're pretty guaranteed that you'll play in tune. Now personally, I don't really like lined fretlesses, not because I think you're a worse player for playing a lined fretless, and by all means play lined fretless, but I don't think they really look like a fretless bass because they've got the lines on them. From a distance they just look like a fretted bass. The only way you'll be able to tell is because of the sound of the thing, and this is obviously unlined. But I still have dots on the top. It's not like I'm absolutely bare bones. It's not like I'm on a double bass, acoustic bass. I can still see what I'm doing and what I need to do with the bass, and I can get myself around easier than I would be able to do on acoustic. And it's all about sort of learning where the notes are, and once you get that in your muscle memory, it's sort of hard to play out of tune, and you can play in the dark and play in tune. That's actually a good thing to sort of practice. If you can play in tune in the dark on a fretless, then your intonation is fantastic. I also think you can play faster on a fretless bass, and by all means you can play anything really on a fretted bass. You can play on a fretless, sort of just finger style. There's a few harmonic-y things that are only for fretless, and obviously slap is better with a fretted, and it sort of only works with them. The fretted sort of thing, you can do it on a fretless, but it doesn't have that same sort of attack that you get on a fretted, because it doesn't hit the fret, it just hits the wood fingerboard. It doesn't work quite as well. But because fretless basses have such low action, and the action being how far the string is off the fretboard, because there's like barely any distance between it, you can really play quick lines lightly and delicately and get through it all really easily. And I prefer that than on a fretted bass. I sort of just feel like, no, I have to press down too far. And you know, playing acoustic bass is a totally different story with a much higher action, but I treat that as such a different thing. I treat electric bass as sort of largely the same, and I go to a fretted bass, and I just have all these mishaps which I don't get on a fretless. There's also something which is the frets just get in the way, and I can't really describe it until you know what the feeling is. But if I'm like moving around, hand position changes, like the frets just get in the way and my fingers get caught on them, because I'm so used to having it sort of slightly pressed everywhere from playing fretless stuff and really keeping my fingers low on the fingerboard, that the frets just get in the way, especially if I'm really like sliding up high. It just doesn't work for me personally. I just love not having anything in the way, really. It means I can get easy access of, you know, wherever I might need to go. I can go from there, and then I can go here, and then I can go here, and then I can go here. Like, it's all fine, and it all works great on a fretless, and I love all of that on a fretless. And it's what makes the fretless for me, really, in that sense, is that I can actually play it. I'm used to it. Well, I can play a fretted bass, but the frets get in the way, okay? You only understand it when you know it and you know the feeling. So please, if anyone has this feeling, please sympathise with me in the comments, because it's something I get so many times. And the next thing is just the tone of the fretless is gorgeous. All this sort of like slidey, sort of glissando-y things you just can't get out of a fretted bass, to be honest. And the fact that you can get it all out of a fretless bass is just gorgeous and fantastic, really. The tonal options are so diverse, and it's such an interesting instrument to play in those regards that I just love it as a bass. And I just sort of, I don't like the tone of fretted basses that much, unless it's a P bass. Then fretted P is the way to go, of course. But for jazz bass, and this being a Stingray, just the fact that, you know, it's fretless just gives such a warm, nice tone to it, which I don't really get on a fretted bass. I find there's too much top end on that. I know you can take it off on things like amps, but I still find it's still too top endy for me. I like that sort of low end warmth that you get on a fretless. At least that's what I find from playing this thing. But I can still agree, at the end of the day, there is always going to be difference in opinion of what's better, fretted or fretless, because it is all personal preference at the end of the day, and the fretless is more work than a fretted bass, and at the end of the day, why would you want a bass that's more work than a bass that is less work and easier to play? Well, I've explained a few reasons today of why the fretless is actually potentially easier to play. The only mishap is the intonation, and I do agree there, but the fact that you don't get anything like fret buzz and the frets don't get in the way is just fantastic, and it's so nice playing on a fretless. And whenever I go to a fretted and then go back to a fretless, I'm so relieved that I'm back to this thing, because oh my god, is a fretless gorgeous. And if you've never tried one before and you've decided that you already hate them and you have never played one, never tried one before, then go try one, because by all means there's going to be hate for the fretless, there's going to be hate for any bass really. There's going to be someone out there that doesn't like it, there's going to be someone out there that says the jazz bass is absolutely terrible, no one ever should play a jazz bass, the P bass is the best, or vice versa. But if you've never played a fretless and you hate a fretless in your mind's eye, just go and play a fretless and then make your judgment. If you played a fretless and you're like, okay, this isn't for me, I don't like it, fretted bass is better, then that's fine. But ultimately, you've got to try one and then just go through and see what works for you. And the fretless works for me, so that's the bass that I use ultimately, and it's the bass that I think a lot more people should be using, and I think a lot more people should get enjoyment out of, because it truly is a fantastic bass. Now, if you want a more in-depth sort of differences between fretted and fretless, P and J, then I'll link a video up here and it's got all of those, and you can listen to me playing all of them and make a judgment on what is the best. But please leave your comments down below, because I want to know all your personal opinions. What's better, fretted, fretless, P bass, jazz bass, anything, PJ bass even? And leave those comments down below, as I want to know all your opinions, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.